Welcome to episode one of On the Shelf, the series, where we'll be talking to people about their collections, the history of their pieces, as well as how they got into collecting. Now I'm talking comic books, statues, sports memorabilia, movie props and replicas, you name it, we're going to talk about it. I am your host and first guest actually, Mike. I am the owner of Cape Justice Jewelry and Collectibles. I am a frequent congoer, and as you could tell by the stuff behind me, I'm a DC guy. Actually, more specifically, Superman. And I've been known to throw the costume on once or twice, especially at the shows. I actually have a very special connection, I guess you'd say, with Superman, the character. I was actually born on the day that Superman, the movie, was released in the UK. And also, it seems that for my first Halloween, my parents decided to dress me up in a Superman costume. So that was a pretty neat find back in the day. However, I didn't actually get into collecting comics or any other Superman memorabilia until 1992. Daily News, New York Post, I think even Newsweek had started publishing that Superman was going to die at the end of the year. And unlike the stories in the 60s and 70s and even the 50s, like of kryptonite poisoning and everything else, this one was going to be for good. Of course, I was intrigued. Now, I had collected some other comics, Heathcliff and He-Man and Ghostbusters and G.I. Joe and Transformer comics. I think Marvel put most of them out at the time back in the day, like before that. But this was something completely different. I had gone into one of the catalogs, the comic book catalogs that I had, and decided to order the Superman comic books for the death of Superman. Now, there was a whole bunch of parts, as many of you know, and finally, with ultimately him dying. Well, I was hooked. I had to keep reading. So then The Reign of Superman came out next, which was the four Supermen after that. That resolved. Obviously, he came back. Spoiler alert. And then I decided I wanted to go backwards, and I collected John Byrne's Man of Steel miniseries. I got even further back and did Crisis on Infinite Earths. The final story right before that, Superman story, which was Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. I have some of the books from the early 80s, 70s, 60s, and 50s in my collection. And as it stands right now, May of 2020, I am probably missing about 100 comics for the modern run of Superman. Now, that may sound like a lot to some of you, but considering how long I've been collecting everything, I'm pretty happy with that. There's been a lot of good Superman artists and story writers and storylines in general over the years. So as long as DC keeps putting them out, whether it's paper or digital, I'll keep buying. Speaking of one of those storylines, Kingdom Come, which was in May of 1996, I believe. That was one of my absolute favorite Superman and DC storylines, and still is. From that storyline, which was done by art by Alex Ross and story by Mark Waid, they made one statue, which was a Superman statue. It was like all like silvery gray, full length, full body statue, and that was actually my first statue. It actually was in my childhood room above my television for a good many years before I moved into this beast of a room that you see in front of you. And then I just kept going. I don't even remember at this point, I'll be honest with you, what my second statue was, but DC, Marvel, everybody's been putting out some really good stuff lately. And as long as they keep making them, we'll keep buying them. I think one of my next statues that I'm going to be getting is a Superman the Animated Series statue that came out. Very excited about it. And I also do collections of commissions. I like to get commissions from a lot of the artists that I grew up reading because I always loved the art. It was very classic. There's a lot of artists that I would have loved to have gotten commissions from, but unfortunately, with them being so expensive or a lot of forgeries being on the market, sometimes it's very difficult to obtain one that you know is legit. My first commission, however, was at one of the New York Comic Cons, actually the 2006 New York Comic Con, when it was probably about a third of the size of what it is now. Actually, there won't be one this year, but the one for next year. I was in Artist Alley, and I saw one of the artists from one of my favorite books, Man of Steel, John Bogdanoff. He was the one who had actually created the character of Steel, John Henry. And he had a little bit of a line, but whatever. First commission, I was a fanboy. I didn't care. I hung out. John was there with his wife, Judy, and their son, Kal-El. First and only Kal-El I've met so far. And I waited. I waited and I waited, and it was fine. He was apologetic. He was so sorry that I was waiting so long. He had a couple people he was working on pieces for. I got to be honest, I didn't care. I was just very happy to be there, watch him work, have see him interact with people, talking about Superman. People were thanking him for the work that he did on the books. And lo and behold, a little later on, Mike Carlin, who was one of the executive editors of DC Comics, walks by, and then we start talking, and he was cool as hell, to the point where actually I wind up taking a picture, and I had no idea that Mike was behind me posing. Uh, it was a good shot, and it's actually on my Instagram feed, and it was definitely a very excellent day. But I actually was got a bunch of commissions from John over the years, and I have a Superman Doomsday one that hangs up on the wall right above this laptop right now, as well as a couple other pieces, which I'm been very, very happy to have over the years. And I always look forward to getting more. And I've gotten a bunch from couple of different people. Jose Perez. Uh, I would love to get one from Kurt Swan. Dan Jurgens, you're on my list. If you're actually watching this, I want one from you. There's a whole bunch of people. Um, but it's so much more. Obviously, collecting is so much more than just, comics and statues and commissions. There's posters, there's pieces from television shows and movies, there's minifigurines, there's gum, there's all sorts of crazy stuff. But and I tried for a long time. I collected a lot of stuff. I was collecting napkins with Superman logo on it. But how much room can you have? You're gonna have to get storage pods and everything else and storage facilities to collect all this stuff. So I decided to start collecting unique stuff that I thought was really neat and that I'd like to put on a shelf, which at this point I need more shelves in this room. But I'd like to show you a couple pieces that I have. One of them is okay, we'll start with this. 1985 was the 50th anniversary of DC Comics, and they had produced a set of bronze medallions, and they were given out to executives, actors, and artists who were considered to be considered the 50 people that made DC great, DC Comics great. People like Adam West and Burt Ward, Linda Carter, Siegel and Schuster, the Salkinds, obviously for their work in Superman, Bob Kane, Kurt Swan, and so many others. They had their names they wound up engraving their names on the back of them. All right. And they made a run of some of them that just were blank on the back. And this, folks, is what they look like. I'm trying to not get a glare on there. Okay, bring it in a little bit. And a lot of these pictures, I'll wind up posting these pictures on my Instagram feed, just if anyone is curious to get a better look and they don't want to see them on eBay or something. And normally on the back of them is where obviously the actor, artist, or executive's names would go, as well as their title. This was given to me by someone a long time ago. Actually, God, a long time ago, probably like maybe 5 years ago. So this is definitely one of my prized pieces, as well as these two. These are screen used, or I guess television screen used, props from the show Smallville. Kryptonite, which is actually, it's funny. It's like one of those light up ice cubes that you see at the weddings and stuff, and they molded the green and the black around it. And the button, it actually doesn't work. It's because of course I played the hell out of it. So, but it does actually glow green when I at some point decide to reopen it, hot glue it back. And I have a kryptonite ring. I forget which episode this was, and somebody who's watching this is going to tell me what episode it is, I'm sure. But I hope to get more. I've seen one of Tom Welling or Clark Kent's watches out there. I've seen a whole bunch of stuff. I know somebody's selling one of John Schneider's jackets. There's all sorts of cool stuff. So if you are a Smallville collector, please reach out to me, and I'd love to have you on my show. A unique item, which I've actually never seen before, except for this one, was shortly after the Man of Steel movie came out. One of the websites had it. It was a they made it a LexCorp. It's a LexCorp um, basically containment unit for the key for the Kryptonian key that's used for the ship that Jor-El uses, and then winds up later giving to Cal, or I should say, I guess Lois then gives to Cal. Anyway, it actually it's a solar light, real simple. Some vinyl stickers put on it. It has a 3D printed key in it, and if there was actually sunlight, instead of it being in my room, if you cover it, it would light up. The key actually looks a lot like this, but I'm sure many of you have seen it before, especially the ones who have seen the movie. Don't mind the light. It's a little dark in here, so I had to add a little extra light. Another piece that I have is I got one of the Arkham games, one of the Arkham Batman Arkham games. You were able to get a prop Batarang. So of course, if you see Kevin Conroy at a convention, how do you not get Kevin Conroy to sign a Batarang? I, I don't know. You do what you got to do. Moving along, back in I believe it was 2017, December of 2017, right to promote the Justice League movie coming out. Most of the cast, with the exception of Ben Affleck, went to a convention from Ace Comic Con in Long Island, New York, specifically at the Nassau Coliseum. Henry Cavill had decided that he was going to do a scavenger hunt at this show. He had commissioned a bunch of artists, popular artists, to do sketches, basically from Man of Steel of Henry, and he hid them at various locations in and around Nassau Coliseum. And you had to go onto his Instagram account, which at that point, of course, everyone was already following, and go onto his story, and he would give hints and tips and clues as to where it was. You would have to remember or think about where it was, go find it, and then there would be somebody sitting there or standing there, and you'd have to give them whatever password it was, and you would get the commission. You would get the commissioned sketch. Part of that, winning that prize, was that you were then given a ticket to go to a private question and answer with a session with Henry after the show on that Sunday. So a bunch of us, there was a ton of them. I forget how many, 30 maybe commissions that were done, maybe more. I got to be honest, I don't even remember at this point. But I had walked the floor a ton of times because there was a lot of vendors there and everything. There were vendors on the floor, and then the way Nassau Coliseum, it's like a coliseum. There were vendors all around the circles of the show. So I remembered that when he posted it, I remembered the booth. I went over to the booth, and it was Crypto, Krypton, Kryptonite. I forget which K it was, but I got there first, and I gave him the word. I got my sketch, which was done by the very talented Tony Daniel, and I was given the ticket to go to the show afterwards to this Q&A. So I brought my friend James, who was there with me, along, and we of course got there early, so we got front row seats. And he comes out. We had a great time. Henry apparently also, some of you may know, I'm sure a lot of you know, when he does movies and everything, he is a big fan of challenge coins. So he gives the cast and crew of whatever show he's working on, Mission Impossible, I think he did one from Man from U.N.C.L.E. He's a bunch of them. He does specific, like, rare challenge coins. So Henry actually did challenge coins for the Comic-Con, for the winners of the scavenger hunt. So this is mine. I'm very happy with it. It's just engraved on the back. It says Ace Comic Con, Long Island, New York, December 2017. I'm going to actually post, again, pictures of all this stuff on my Instagram feed if anyone's interested in better pictures of them. And actually, I always find it pretty neat that I wound up making the Henry's video for on his Instagram video for the show, the whole thing. I'm in it twice. You'd have to scroll at this point pretty way down, but if you could find the video, you'll see me on it twice. So that was my fanboy moment. I was pretty excited by that. Now, something that I had shown a little bit on the Instagram live show that I did with Long Island Comic Guys like a week or so ago was a signed cape. The story behind my cape is that, big shock, in college, I had gotten a Superman costume as well, and even had it tailored. It was one of those like Halloween Party City type, prepackaged costumes. I don't get those anymore, but but I wound up taking the cape afterwards and bringing it to shows and having artists and actors and voice actors all sign the cape with actually John Bogdanoff, Kal-El, and Bogdanoff, and Mike Carlin being the first ones to sign my cape. So that was a pretty neat day. So here we are, cape. All right. As you could tell, dead center. You have Brandon Routh. This unfortunately little faded signature here is Dean Cain. It's there, trust me. You could see Kal-El and John along the sides, as well as on top of that, Lois Lane, Noel Neal, Sarah Douglas is on here, Helen Slater is on here. You have artists on here like Alex Ross, who's all the way down here. Jerry Ordway, Darwin Cook signed this. Garcia Lopez signed this. Len Wein is on this. There's a whole bunch of people on this, and it was a labor of love for a long time. And no, people are asking, well, why didn't you get Henry to sign the cape? That's a good question. Because I forgot. That's all I got on that one. But I'm going to actually post, again, pictures of this cape as well on my Instagram feed. So that is going to bring me to the next part of this little shindig that we have here, where when guests come on, I am going to ask them some specific questions and about their collection and see what their responses are going to be. One of the questions being, if you only had one shelf in your house, your room, your apartment that you were able to put collectibles on, one shelf, what three pieces of your collection would you include on that shelf? Dusted, hopefully, in some sort of hermetically sealed environment. My three would be, number one, the Kingdom Come statue, which I mentioned earlier, my signed Christopher Reeve autograph, which is on a wall, which again, I'll take pictures of and put on Instagram, and the Bottled City of Candor. Now, I've loved this thing forever. All right, it was one of my screen names when I was a kid, like amazing. And then it just so happened that somebody on one of the groups I belong to on Facebook wound up selling it for the price that they were selling it for. So how do you not grab it when it comes up? So lo and behold, here it is, the Bottled City of Candor, and lights up. Pretty awesome. But those would probably be my three. The next question I'll be posing to people is, what would be your holy grail, your item that you want, that you would love to get if money wasn't an object, if time, if you had a TARDIS or you had a time machine or a DeLorean that you were able to go back and get it, what would be your number one item on that list that you would love to have in your collection? That's a no-brainer for any Superman fan. All right, that's going to be a Christopher Reeve costume. Heck, at this point, I would even just take the cape. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers, and I don't have $100,000 to spend on one. So it is what it is. But that's all really I have for today. I'd like to thank you for joining me. I'd like to thank a couple people. Richard Brown, who was the artist for my logo, and actually will be the artist, the in-house artist for me for a while with regards to some other sketches that I've got cooked up. Justin Bellman, who did the promo artwork for me, and again, we'll be doing some recreations of popular covers, some comic book covers. Luke Bug, the Geek of Steel, for his technical know-how with regards to setting up things like this, as well as helping me with some of the questions and giving me that good kick in the ass I need to really start this show going. And last but not least, my buddy Vinny DeMarco, who actually was the one that came up with the name for the show. Vinny, thank you very much. Next week, episode 2, we will have on Elena White. She has a letterpress box collection, which is actually pretty cool. We're going to have a lot. There's actually even some Superman ones in there, which I'm very excited about. So tune in next week, or probably next week if I get to it. And thanks for watching. If you don't follow me on Instagram, follow my Instagram account. And please subscribe to this channel. Have a great day.